You no good mother.
The thing I've learned from marathoning this entire series is, there's no real agreed upon ranking of these movies. Like, most franchises have a general consensus of what their best and worst movies are. The Muppets doesn't have that, which is a testament to just how consistent in quality these movies are, at least in terms of the theatrical releases. Like, you can just say about any of these are your favorite, and I'd be like, sure, yeah, that tracks. They're all pretty quality. I did look at some straight-to-video and TV specials, I know, but that was more because I had to. These two were just too damn interesting to me, and yes, I will talk about It's a Very Muppet Christmas when it's a little bit more festive. I was gonna do a basic tier list, but that seemed immediately pointless because that would be a very top-heavy list. So I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Let's go worst to best, goggles, swamp ass to Rainbow Connection Kermit. How about that? So starting off with the worst is Kermit Swamp Years. Yeah, this is the worst one. I mean, it just feels counter to everything the series built up to that point. It's low effort and rushed, and it will never not feel bizarre to me that they made this, like, specifically for toddlers when you already had a series that was so prolific and beloved for being, enjoyable for everyone. Like, a toddler would enjoy the Muppet Movie, so this feels pointless, and it looks so, like, cheap and amateurish. Like, the scenes where they're running through the school, that montage, it looks straight up like out of a high school video production class. It's hard to judge this one too harshly again, because it's for goobers. Surprisingly, this one has its shooters. There are people that love Kermit Swamp Years and stand by that it's a great movie even to this day, and to them, I don't believe you. I really don't. I don't think anyone who says that has actually sat down and watched this movie in the last few years. Because let me tell you, it's a slog. It's boring. It's not even enjoyable in a so bad it's good way. It meanders. And it's not funny or interesting. And it's not like it couldn't have been good. Like, you watch Muppet Babies, and I think people can sit through that. They're good shows. They're not insufferable, which is like, well, it makes me think this should have just been a live-action Muppet Babies movie. That probably would have fared better. You get all the characters, you get a chance to revamp them in live action in a way we haven't seen since Muppets Take Manhattan. It seemed like a real missed opportunity here, and I don't think we needed a Kermit origin flick. Next up, Muppet Wizard of Oz. People hate this one. I like it. I don't know what to say. I thought it was funny. I thought it was charmingly just dumb. This was one you could just put on, and it may not be great, but at least it's entertaining, and for a TV special, I think that's good enough. Critics and fans didn't like this one. They thought it was super crude and awful and weird, and I like it. I like it because of how bizarre and out of pocket it is. It's funny, it's unsettling to see these characters act so strange. I really don't know why people act like this one is so heinous. It's really not. It's just a dumb, schlocky Muppet TV special, and I enjoyed it for what it was, and I was really surprised to see it got a VHS release, being the last Muppet film on tape. I just think that's kind of cool. They went out on such an offbeat note. Next up, it's death threat time. It's Muppets Take Manhattan. I get it. I get this is a beloved childhood classic for a lot of people. There's a lot of fans' first introductions to the Muppets, but it just didn't do anything for me. The pacing was bad. The whole movie's just leading up to this Broadway play, and it ends up being a wedding between Miss Piggy and Kermit, and I don't care. It comes kind of out of left field, and look, I know the tabloids and the media were treating it like it was this actual big event when this movie came out, and even with that in mind, it's not very good. The human characters I thought were the worst. Most of them were bland. I already said it in, like, what's her name? This one just, like, meanders and not in a fun way. There's, like, 3 scenes where Kermit wears a disguise, and it's not funny. It's actually some of the more outdated bits in this entire series. And, like, the setting, too. I didn't feel like they did much with it. It's weird some people are like, yeah, this is a grittier Muppet movie, and it's really not. It feels way more dumbed down than the first two. The songs are good. I love the soundtrack here. Rizzo and the Rats are great. Some of the scenes by themselves are these really funny skits in a vacuum. It's pretty funny, but in the grand scheme, as a movie you watch front to back, I just really don't see myself rushing to revisit this one at all. Well, if you didn't want me dead before now, it's time to walk the plank. I know this one's lower. I like this movie. First off, nobody wants to be the guy that says, oh, gee, this Muppet movie where they're all pirates and go on a pirate adventure with Tim Curry is just pretty good. Not great. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be that guy. But the premise of Muppet Treasure Island feels like it should be more exciting and energetic than it actually is. Tim Curry, obviously, he's fantastic. He's just so deliciously entertaining. I love the set design, the details, and the scenery, and the puppetry. It's all so well done. And some of the sequences, like the opening with the pirates attacking the inn, those are really impressive. But I think what brings down Treasure Island for me, like I've said, is the emotional core to the film is almost non-existent. They kind of try to build up Jim and Captain Silver's relationship, and it falls flat. So there's this huge middle portion to this movie that it's not interesting. It feels like it's coasting on autopilot. It's a very easy to love movie just on the basis that it's a pirate Muppets flick with Tim Curry. Like I get why it's so beloved, but I think anyone who watches all the Muppet movies back to back like I did could see where this one could have been better. It's still a good movie, just not my personal favorite in the series. The next one, pretty controversial placement, I guess, but I had to go with my gut. And it's Muppets from Space. For years, like before Muppets 2011 came on, you'd see people online talk about this one like it was some disaster. Not in terms of box office, but things like, oh, the less said about this one, the better, and come on. I really like this one. It's infinitely rewatchable and funny. I feel like out of all the Muppet movies, this is the one I could just put on whatever and just always be in the mood for. I like that they focused on Gonzo as the central character. I thought that was a nice change of pace. I loved seeing all the Muppets just under one roof, living together and jamming out to some funk. Trust me, there are parts of this movie that do feel kind of like a step down. Like, you look at Christmas Carol or Treasure Island, and they do a real good job designing these bustling locales filled with Muppet activity. This one has like this desolate quality to it. Like the secret government facility inside that cement factory, I get that's what they were going for, but it feels so oddly empty and sterile and not just not the most exciting location. And really, like, what brings this one down, it's so clear they should just went with the original draft. It feels so pointless to have these aliens actually be Gonzo's family. Like, it raises more questions than answers. It's just not satisfying. But everything preceding that, I guess I adore, and I always appreciate Muppets from Space as a fun, light watch. It's a super rewatchable Muppet flick. Next up, Muppets Most Wanted. So before I dived into this whole Muppet mania, I did out of curiosity look at some rankings of how other people rank these movies, and I was so surprised to see this one so low on so many lists. Like, damn. I don't get it at all. Like, maybe it's because this one is newer, it doesn't have the same adoration from, longtime fans, but to me, it's like the quintessential type of Muppet movie. You have the entire gang here going on this big globetrotting adventure. You have a really fun antagonist. Constantine's probably my favorite villain in the entire series. It's him or Tim Curry, really. And it all leads to this like very sweet, just epic finale. It's a little on the longer side, but still super solid. And the soundtrack is just so infectiously memorable here. I hardly have any complaints about it aside from like little nitpicks. Other than that, Most Wanted is fantastic, and Disney really should have kept that momentum going after this one. It's such a shame it ended here. And even better than Most Wanted, Muppets 2011. I was so nervous about how well this one would hold up. Just, like I said, years after all these soft reboots and revivals, I think just seeing the Muppets over this bland, solid white background for like the poster just had me so worried this one was gonna be generic and aged like milk and just be a bunch of cheap callbacks, but thankfully no, it was just as good, if not even better than I remember. Considering the absolute dire state live-action family films were in at that time, Muppets 2011 just still completely demolishes everything else and proves that you can make a movie for general audiences with clever jokes, characters you actually care about and root for, and a genuine passion for the series and its legacy. To me, it's the perfect type of revival comeback movie, and to this day, I mean, we still need more movies like this, maybe more than ever. Alright, we're getting down to the Holy Trinity here. Starting with the beginning of it all, the Muppet Movie. Still blows my mind how well this one holds up after, what, almost 50 years later, the humor, the groundbreaking meta gags, especially in a time where that stuff is really played out now, to still have that feel fresh today is remarkable. It's truly a timeless movie. And the passion poured into these sequences is something you could just endlessly gush over. It's inspiring. Things like Rainbow Connection, Kermit riding a bike, a gargantuan animal bursting through a roof. It's so masterful, and there's a good portion of fans who would say this definitively is the best Muppet film, and yeah, it very well could be, but to me, they somehow managed to top it with The Great Muppet Caper. This is like the blueprint Muppet sequel. I love that they thrust Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo into these new roles that spoof a genre. I think this is just such an endlessly entertaining formula, and I'm surprised they really haven't done a Muppet sequel this way since. I love the dirty, rundown look of the Happiness Hotel juxtaposed with all these colorful and vibrant characters, and I love the way the humans and the Muppets interact in this one. The humans could be mean, they can be cruel or annoying, or, just plain creepy and dangerous, and I think that adds to the authenticity of this world. Jim Henson directed this one, and of course he knows how to direct these Muppets best, and their love for these characters just shows through almost every scene and number, and to me, they happen to somehow, against all odds, top the original. And for my absolute favorite, you already know, Muppets Christmas Carol. Yeah, I guess going into this, I knew Christmas Carol would appeal to me. I knew Michael Caine would be incredible. I just guess I didn't expect it would end up being my favorite now, especially because I'm not the biggest Christmas movie kind of person. Holiday movie aside, what you have here is a genuinely moving, sweet tale it's this love letter to everything Henson stood for. Everything from Michael Caine to the cast and crew. They treat the source material so respectfully. They allow moments to be existential and dark and dreadful. Like Muppet Caper, you have this very unique mix of these cute characters being put through these deeply sad hardships, this experiencing poverty and the loss of a loved one. It's somber, it's sweet, it's this beautifully crafted movie that I would gladly watch any time of the year, and it just so happens to be my favorite Muppet film. So that concludes our run through of the entire Muppet saga. By God, we finally did it. What a beautiful series. I had such a wonderful time experiencing them and just being in awe at all the craft and creativity that went into making these movies so special. I think no matter which way you put it, The Muppets will just always be this timeless series, and I eagerly await for it to one day make its theatrical return, maybe? Until then, good night, my sweet frog prince.